everyone, I'm here with Curt Covert, and we're going to be taking a look at Koi. Alright.
So, Koi is a light strategy game for 1 to 4 players, and in it, you're a koi fish looking for a great meal of dragonflies and frogs. Simple as can be. Down on the board, it's got kind of these hex squares, and all your koi fish, these wonderful wooden meeples that are printed double-side, swim along back and forth looking for food. So, dragonflies are worth 3 points, and frogs are worth 1 point. It features program movement. So, if this was my card, I swim up the card. So black arrows are mandatory once I play it, and the blue are optional. So, I'm going to swim forward 1, I'm going to swim forward 1, and I'll stop my turn right there, because I want to get that dragonfly. Now, maybe oh, this is a great one. We'll do this. So, I'm going to decide not to go forward 1, but I'm going to turn in any direction I want. And now I'm going to leap out of the water 1 space and gobble a dragonfly. And that's how you get points. Now, the other thing, though, is that there are these wonderful natural beauty cards down here. You can beautify the pond by adding decorative elements to it. So, a lily pad can be placed on the board, and lily pads spawn dragonflies on your next turn. Whereas frogs you can add to the board for a delicious 1-point meal, or let's say this player, I think they're going to try to eat those dragonflies next turn. Well, I can create a frog here. Frogs love dragonflies, so delicious, yummy, and now you're deprived of a meal. So it's either a small hindrance or a slight boon for you as you're beautifying the board. And lastly, there are these weather cards that change the game just a little bit every round to create some variety. Very similar to it. But by and large, this is a game that it's got enough meat to really be enjoyable for gamers, and it's super easy to understand and teach, so it's great for welcoming new gamers into the hobby too. Before There Were Stars is just a heartwarming storytelling game where you're an ancient lore-giver of your people, telling the story of how you all got here, the creation myth. So, you've got these 12-star pip dice, and the first thing you'll do is you'll cast them to form the night sky. Now, you scan the heavens looking for constellations you might see that night. So, if I see a 6 and a 4, I can take the shark into my story as a keyword or a concept. Now, we'll draft 2 cards every time we get to another chapter of our story. Go around the table and refreshing. So let's say at the end of that, I now have the shark and hurricane as my concepts. Now I will have about a minute to tell chapter 1. In the beginning, how did the shark and a hurricane explain all of creation? Now, next turn, I'll get 2 new cards and reference one from the past to continue that story. So now, how did we get here? This is the dawn of our civilization. And next, it's going to be a great hero emerges, and finally the end of days. Is this going to be doom and gloom? Is it going to be hopeful? You decide. Now, scoring is secret, and when you score, you pass your offering bag around the table and place into it a 2, 3, or a 4-point star secretly. And what you're scoring for is not who was the best presenter, who told the funniest joke necessarily, but who had a really cool moment that you appreciated. Now, that really level sets the game and makes it accessible for people who don't even feel like they're confident storytellers, so anyone can play. But the last point of the game is the most important. This is the Over the Moon token, and you give this to your favorite moment in the game, after you highlight a couple things. So, when you told the story about the goddess who wept and filled the oceans, oh, that was beautiful. Now this guy over here, he told a story about 2 warring giants with 1 eyeball they fought over. One can look in the past, one can look at the future. Bonus point for you, my friend. That was awesome. So, what happens is everyone at the table gets recognized for something they did. So when you step away from the table, not only did you hear 6 really interesting different stories, but someone told you they liked what you did. And that's what makes this such a warm, fun game to play. So this is the Tower of madness. And as impressive as this structure is, this game is actually a dice game. And it's a dice game that has this tower as a mechanic for punishing you for a failed dice roll. So literally, you are investigating unspeakable horror without losing your marbles.
So have you tried it?
In the game, you're going to be rolling dice, and you're trying to find a gate, a heart, and a mind at each of the locations. So here at the clock tower, it's worth 6 victory points for the best investigator. Now, every time I roll, I have to use at least 1 die, but I could use more than 1. So I'll use the 1 and the 2. Now, I want these 2 dice to be as high as possible. That's how I get the victory points. So maybe I'll risk it and I'll add this one too. But that limits my ability to get that mind now, so we'll see. Oh, yay, I did it. All right, so, okay, now I've succeeded my investigation, and I've got an 11 discovery. That's pretty good. Now, let's say this happened, though. I failed my investigation. Well, that's different. Now, if you fail, you must draw a horror from the tower. And if any marbles fall, that impacts your character immediately. But not all marbles are bad. We're here investigating for a reason. So, for example, blue marbles are discoveries. They are worth 3 points. So you want those. White marbles. You start with 2 spell cards, but if you ever want another spell card, Forbidden Knowledge has to drop out of the tower. Whereas red are madness. If you collect 4 madness marbles, you end up switching sides. You go insane, and now all you want is for Cthulhu to come out of the tower, rise, and consume the world. And Cthulhu will rise if the 3rd green doom marble drops out of this tower before the investigators finish their stack of investigations. If you're the insane player that actually caused that to happen, well, that's different. You just summon Cthulhu, so therefore you can win as an insane player as well. It really is, it's kind of like Dread in that they use a really common game, Jenga, to add tension to their RPG. Same thing here, it's a dice game with this familiar mechanic in order to add a lot of dynamic tension of what's going to fall out of the tower and add a lot of excitement to the game.